Okay, today we're talking about factors and multiples, and we're going to start with our definitions for both words. So we're going to start with factor. A factor is a number you multiply, and if I write, you write, to get a product. A multiple is the product, and you guys can print on this. These are your notes. Just make sure you can read it. A multiple is the product of a number times any whole number other than 0. Because what do we know about numbers times 0?
It
ends up in 0. So that would make 0 sense. Ha, 0. Right, it would make 0 sense to multiply a number by 0 if you're trying to get all of the multiples. So you're going to multiply a number times any whole number other than 0, and that is going to give you the multiple. Okay.
It's the hardest math fact ever. 0 times 0 equals 0. No, it's not.
All right. Common means shared, or the same as another. Common means shared or the same as another. So if we're talking about common multiples between two different numbers, if I said, what are my multiples of 6 and 8, and I listed out all of the multiples, then I said, what are those common multiples? You could pull out all of the multiples that 6 and 8 have in common that they share. Okay, that's what that's talking about there. Multiples are infinite. What does that mean?
It goes on forever.
Or they go on forever. They don't ever stop. You could keep counting by 6s forever because numbers, remember that story that we read about place value? And there was like a professor and he was talking about how it goes into like a billion, a trillion, quadrillion, and then a Google member. So numbers are infinite. They never ever stop. So multiples then are also infinite. The main thing you have to know is that factors are the numbers that you multiply. Multiples are the products of the numbers you're multiplying. Okay? Now, let me scroll down a little bit to the bottom half of my page. Okay, so when we're talking about multiples, we want to think multiply. Multiples, think multiply. These numbers are going to get larger. Okay, we're counting up. So they're going to get bigger. So if I list out all of my multiples of 12, what would I start with? What would my first multiple of 12 be? 12. How do I get 12? What do I multiply it by?
1.
Times 1. Very good. Okay, what would my next multiple be?
24.
24. What did I multiply 12 by to get 24?
2.
Okay, good. What would my next multiple be?
36.
And what would I multiply that by?
30.
And then my next multiple?
48.
And what would I multiply 12 by?
4.
Very good. Y'all are catching on to the patterns. Good. Now, does it stop at 48?
No.
No, it keeps on going. What would be next if I kept going?
60.
Then,
72.
then,
84.
then,
96.
then,
108.
then,
120.
then,
132.
then,
144.
then,
I don't know what's after that.
144, then 156, then.
168.
Okay, good. You guys are all so smart. Okay. 5, please. 4, 3, 2, please. 1. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to start with a number and list the number times 2, then times 3, then times 4, then times 5, then times 6, and we just keep going until your assignment tells you to stop. So it might say list the first 6 multiples of 2, and you would only list the first 6 multiples because otherwise it could go on forever and ever. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug in these blanks here. We always start with the number given, then we list the number times 2, then times 3, and then times 4. What does ETC mean?
Etc.
Which means?
More on and on.
And you can keep going, right, on and on. Okay, factors. Let's switch gears for a minute and talk about factors. Factors are finite. What does that mean?
They end eventually.
They end eventually. It doesn't go on forever and ever, okay? So factors are always going to be listed in pairs usually, because I can't just have a number times nothing to get a multiple, right? Factors are going to be listed in pairs. There will usually be 2. So if 1 is a factor, then the number itself also. Okay, you have to put 2 numbers together. So factors are finite or a defined set of numbers. So we're going to use a t-chart to find factors of 6. So factors are pairs, like we said before in our box above. So I'm going to list all of the pairs, all of the factors for 6 in a t-chart. So I would put 1 and 6. What would go? 2 and 3. Anything else?
1/2 and 12.
Okay, but we're only doing whole numbers. So yes, technically, if we want to get technical, but we're only doing whole numbers, okay? Now, if I want to list my factors, a t-chart is one way. Is it the only way? No, because I can also list them as well. So if I listed out my factors, I could put them in order 1, 2, 3, 6. I call that the rainbow method. Why? Because I pair them up. 1 and 6, 2 and 3. If I had more factors, it would continue to make another rainbow arch. Okay, so I call it the rainbow method, list method. Eli.
If you say factors are pairs, what is a pair?
Yeah, where is
A
it?
factor.
I want to eat the pear. Can I eat the
Okay.
pear?
Now, this is a finite or fixed set. That means that there are no other numbers that make up 6 that are whole numbers. Okay? So there are no other whole numbers that will make 6. So this is a fixed set. Okay, now, when I'm looking at factors, over here on the side, it says factors always come in pairs.
But where's the pear? You have to get the pear.
Or have a match. So they come in pairs, or in other words, they just say they have a match. Multiples, the number is multiplied on forever. So that basically means we're just skip counting. So an example of skip counting, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, ...
Can you write that?
If I write, you write.
You gotta skip while you count.
If you have a comment, raise your hand. If you have a question, raise your hand. Yes,
You skip while you count.
sure, but not in class.
Skip count.
Skip count all you want at home and skip while you do it.
You gotta at least give us one pair.
Okay. All right. The next thing that we need to is you guys need to glue in your practice page on page 15. So I'm going to pass those out to you now. We're going to glue that in on page 15, and I'm going to give you a few minutes to work them with your group or on your own. You can work them on your own and check with your group, or you can work together, then we'll check them together as a whole class. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go over these together.
Question 1.
So on number 1, if you are using your cubes method, I should be circling any numbers in my problem. So that means that I need to circle the number 12. The U stands for underline the question. That's the whole thing. Which of the following is not a factor of 12? I box any keywords, not a factor. Okay, factor is a keyword, not a huge keyword. I just did the whole phrase together.
Can you I just box not a factor.
That's fine. Okay. Circle the numbers is C. you underline the question, B, box keywords. There's not really a lot of extra information. This is very short. It's not a lengthy word problem. And then we just solve and check. So which of the following is not a factor of 12? Would A work? Would 1 and 12 not be factors?
No.
No, because if I actually list them out, I should start with 1 and 12. Then I would have 2 and 6 and 3 and 4. This is my list or rainbow method. I could also do the T-chart method. And I have, this really is just 6 up here. So how many ways, oh no, sorry, 12. So how many ways can I make 12?
Watson, this is the answer.
You could do a T-chart just like this. Either way is fine. Once you have it all written down and worked out, then you can clearly see that which choice is your correct answer choice. D. 7 and 5 are not a factor of 12. Okay, number 2. Circle my numbers. Underline the question. Box keywords. What keywords am I boxing? Multiple. Okay. So if I'm trying to figure out which of the following is a multiple of 15, then I want to list out multiples of 15, which means I could skip count by 15s, right?
Yeah.
30, 45, 60, 75, 90. What would be next?
105.
105, then
130.
120,
Oh yeah, 120.
then 135, 150. Okay, it keeps going. So which of these is a multiple of 15?
3 times 5.
Those are factors. 3 times 5, those are factors.
150.
150 should be the correct answer.
Okay.
This is why we're practicing this today, so we don't get mixed up between multiples and factors. Okay, multiples are many. Factors are few. Many, multiples, few, factors. I like alliteration, so try and remember it that way. Okay. All right, last one. Circle numbers. Underline the question. Box your keywords. So I'm looking for a number that is not a multiple of 30. So if I listed out all of my multiples of 30, is there a shortcut or a trick you guys can come up with to help you? Savannah.
You can find like in the bigger numbers, just take away the zeros at the end, and if they're multiples of 3, then those are multiples.
Very good. So if you take away the zeros, pretend like that last 0 is not there. Pretend like it's just a multiple of 3, okay? As the numbers get bigger, you're noticing that they're actually multiples of 30. So it'd be like 30, then 6 and a 0, then 9 with a 0, then 12 with a 0. What would be next?
Or 15 with a 0.
Right, then
18 with a 0.
right? Okay, so if I'm looking at these numbers, I could list these for so much longer, okay? I'm going to find one that is not. Do you have a question? Okay. Okay.
So just think about like 30 with just 3. Think about like
Oh, hold on just a second. Make sure you're listening, please. You've got somebody sharing another method, and I want you to hear it.
Think about 30 is 3. Just count by 3s and 30s. They're just basically the same except with just one extra 0.
Very good. So they're basically the same with an extra 0, kind of like what Savannah was saying too. You can almost kind of pretend like those zeros aren't there and just look at the beginning of the numbers. Very good. Thank you. Okay, so if I look at A, I have 6 or 60. Can 30 go into 60? Yeah, it's right there. We actually listed it out. Could it go into 100? Nope, it should go like right here if it was 100, but it's not going to fit. So this is probably my answer. If I'm looking at just the beginning of this number, could 3 go into 24?
Yes.
So 30 can go into 2,400, so that's out. And then looking at just the beginning of this number,
Yes.
Okay, very good. So we are in agreement that B is the correct answer. Okay. Your assignment for today is to log in to Google Classroom, and you are going to make sure that you're in the Math 5. Don't move yet. Hold on. Let me explain. You're going to log into the Math 5 Google Classroom, click on Classwork at the top, and find the assignment Factors and Multiples. You'll click on it, complete that. When you're done, come see me, and you can get your well, it's not actually homework, it's just classwork. You'll be working on it in class. Finishing for homework if you don't finish in class.